That's something I'm curious to know what your opinion is, because of somebody who goes to a lot of festivals, and I'm sure some of them you go with press passes, but at the same time, some of them you might have to pay for it just to get in. Um, what is your opinion with? I don't even know if it's an opinion, but I feel as though a lot of people in the EDM community are not the best financially speaking, or what's the word here? Oh my gosh, I'm missing out on it. Anyways, they're not the best the best with money. I
Yeah.
totally forget what the word for that is though when you're good with money. It's gonna bug me. I'll figure it out. Anyways, so that's what I'm trying to get at here though is what advice do you have for festival goers that maybe they're putting themselves in predicaments where they could use the money they have, or how to get them more financially savvy to where they can go to festivals and still enjoy themselves, but at the same time not be broke on the side end, or like creating extra stress in their life that they don't need if they just didn't go to a festival or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely said on my channel and like on my blog a lot, like, no festival is really worth putting yourself in that financial strain, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have to weigh out, is this festival worth it for me to go? Even if I get a free festival ticket, I still have to think about the flights, the hotel, all the other extra added costs on top of that. And I really evaluate, can I this or not, or is it going to put me in a bind at work and stuff. And so I just don't think any festival is really worth that. They're always are going to be like another festival, obviously, once we're out of this pandemic.
Of course, of course.
um, but then when it comes to like actually saving a lot more money, I always have given tips on evaluating what you're currently spending your money on. So, and at the beginning of this pandemic, I'm not gonna lie, I went a little crazy because I was like, oh, I have all this extra money, like
That's why I
this is
bought stuff too. I bought
great. Yeah,
merch.
like
I bought
I was
merch.
just buying random stuff on Amazon that I don't need and stuff. And I threw electric forest in my apartment. I like recreated electric forest in my apartment
That's so cool.
the weekend it was supposed to happen, and I kind of went overboard on it, and I was like, okay, after this I need to like reel it in. So what I always do is I just evaluate, what am I spending money on. A lot of the times I delete my food delivery apps. That's usually the first thing to go. And I just really focus on like planning out and buying meals, buying food to make meals at home and stuff like that. So I look at that. I look at, on your iPhone, if you have any apps that have any subscriptions, like if you haven't used that app in a while and you're spending like $10 to have that app, could be something to take away. And other memberships and stuff like that. So I try and find ways to just keep on saving more money. That way I can enjoy the festival more, or be another trip to add on and stuff. So I always try and recommend like limiting your spending any way you can. Like I really don't go out a whole lot in between festivals. So figuring out ways to kind of limit that spending is what I always recommend.
So I'm curious, and I have some opinions on it too. But what's the ideal plan for when you decide, okay, I think I want to go to this festival? Like, how do you go about that planning? Not only just planning it, but I do mean in a financial sense of like, okay, I got to set this and this extra money aside. And not only that, I need to have enough money to where if I go, I come back, I'm not broke and all that stuff. I'm just curious how you go about that process.
Yeah, so I don't really think I have a whole process for it. I have a Trello board to track my at least. And then I kind of just like do the math and look at what my bank
Mm-hmm.
account looks like now, look at what my savings looks like now, and then kind of judge between the next upcoming paychecks and bills I have, if I can swing it or not, if I can swing that ticket. And then I always, whenever a festival lineup gets announced, I always look at what the ticket prices are going to be. And then I always look up what a hotel or an Airbnb might look like, just to get like an average cost for that, just to start to think. And if I need to like have a group of 2 people, 4 people, like what is that going to look
Yeah.
like?
Mm-hmm.
Then I always look at flights, on like, I'm a Southwest girl through and through, so I always check Southwest because I have those points, and I have the credit card and stuff, and so I always check Southwest. If that doesn't look good, then I'll look elsewhere. Cause like for Electric Forest, sometimes it's hard to fly with Southwest. So sometimes I have to do American. So I try and just get an idea of what the general cost is going to be for everything and then kind of assess from there what's going to work.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. When I always think of it, there's two ways to really look at it, and there's that way where like I've done that before, where it's like we actually plan it through and through right before the beginning, and it's like, okay, I need this X amount of money, and we're gonna go for it. I run into the issues with me, and I don't know if you have this issue, but a lot of my friends tend to not even have the money at the get go. Like we could run down the prices, and they're like, well, I can only buy the ticket today, and then I got to buy the flight in a month, and then the blah blah blah. They can't. No one. Maybe now they can with the pandemic. They saved up some money, but I think that's a huge thing. On the other hand, is I noticed for me, it's a lot easier to make these plans when I've got money saved up. It's like, and not only that, you can make those last minute plans too. Like Forbidden Kingdom, it was like, all I had to do was call a buddy and say, hey, I can pay, I'll help pay for the hotel room. Like I know you need somebody else to help you pay. Boom, done. And I had the money set aside to where it didn't affect me if I did go and stuff like that. So I think there's that way of like, if you can plan it ahead and you can swing it, you do that. And then you've got the other side of it as like, I've been saving up all this money. I haven't been going out. I haven't been eating out, and you know what? I want to go splurge for a little bit and have a great kick-ass weekend. I've got the money to do it, and it's not even going to affect me. Each method is to each his own, and I think they work out perfectly either way. I always say though, when I do the other method, I got to make sure I have money afterwards. So yeah, I can save up while I can work my ass off for that, for the $800, whatever it may be. But then maybe I should work my ass off to where I have $1,600, so that way I spend $800 and I have $800 saved up for whatever as after, whatever, whether it's an issue that's why I'm there, or when I get back, I don't have necessarily, or the time I've taken off, it doesn't necessarily affect me. That's my big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also for me, like when I say plan it out, like I also do that similar method to your friends where like, okay, I can buy the ticket now, but like especially for Electric Forest, the tickets usually I buy them in November, and then I usually don't book my flight until February, March maybe, because the festival's not even until June. So sometimes I'll plan it out that way. Okay, I have the money now to buy this ticket, and then when that time comes, have the money for the flight, have the money for the hotel, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that I shouldn't negate that. I've done that too. What I
Yeah.
mean though is where like I guess I just talk more in a sense of like they're doing that, but then they don't even.
I don't really know if they'll have the money for the next stuff.
Yeah, like they don't. Yeah, like when there's no planning involved with it. Yes, I should have been more specific. Yeah, like they're buying the ticket, and it's like, well, I hope I can pay for the flight and all that. And it's like, I mean, I guess you could sell it and all that. That's always true, but I'm someone with a certain level of planning that has to come into it because that just like to me, there's no stress, no anxiety when all that happens. At least that's what I've noticed from the difference between me and my friends about money is like I plan and I save and I don't ever have to worry about it. I just gotta go. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do this. Or like, we want to all coordinate onesies one day. I can't buy that onesie. And I'm like, man, it's $20. Like, just like, it's not that bad.
As we're like getting older, that friends are starting to like make moves in their career and start to have money. At least for like my friend group, it's been really nice because like before when we were going to music festivals, like we were all in college and super limited with our budgets and like really not doing a whole lot. But now we're like able to kind of like afford a lot more and actually enjoy these experiences.
Yeah, I knew a lot of. I agree. I had a lot of people